Hey warriors, there's a moment in every person's life when everything goes quiet. Maybe it happens late at night, when you're the only one awake. Maybe it hits you during your commute, staring out the window. Maybe it happens in the middle of a normal day, when nothing is technically wrong, and yet something inside you whispers, "I'm not happy, not really." And the scariest part? You can't even remember when that feeling began. You look at your life on paper and it all seems fine. You did the things you were supposed to do. You followed the rules. You checked the boxes. You built the life everyone told you would make you feel accomplished, secure, and fulfilled. But deep down, something is missing. And if you're honest with yourself, it's been missing for a long time. The truth is, most people never face this moment. They bury it. They drown it in work deadlines, social obligations, Netflix binges, or endless scrolling. They silence the small voice inside that keeps asking the uncomfortable question, "Is this it?" Not in a dramatic way, not in a depression spiral, but in a quiet, hollow ache, the kind that follows you no matter how busy you stay. We convince ourselves that everyone feels this way, that the restless emptiness is just adulthood, responsibility, reality. And the biggest lie we tell ourselves is this: I'll deal with it later. After the project ends, after the kids grow up, after things calm down, after I'm more stable, after I feel more confident, after I'm ready. But later never comes. The projects keep coming. The responsibilities keep growing. New problems replace old ones. And meanwhile, years pass. Real years. Your years. This is how people wake up at 50, 60, or 70 and feel the regret hit them like a punch they never saw coming. They realize their life was lived in smallness, in fear, in avoidance. They realize they spent decades pretending, decades waiting, decades postponing the honesty they needed to grow. Socrates said that the unexamined life is not worth living. But the examined life is terrifying because it means confronting truths you've been dodging for years. It means admitting the relationship you're in isn't what you pretend it is. It means acknowledging the dreams you abandoned. It means facing the potential you've wasted. It means telling the truth about who you are and who you're becoming. Most people will never be that brave. But you're here, you're listening, and that means something inside you is ready. Ready to stop pretending, ready to stop distracting yourself, ready to stop waiting for a life that doesn't magically appear, ready to ask the questions you've been avoiding because the answers might require change. The 12 questions in this journey aren't soft. They're not comforting. They're not motivational posters or feel-good advice. They're mirrors, cold, honest, necessary mirrors. And once you look into them, you cannot unsee what they show you. Your life right now, this very moment, is the result of the questions you have asked and the ones you've been too afraid to ask. And 5 years from now, your life will be shaped entirely by what you're brave enough to face today. So, before we go deeper, breathe, because this is your turning point. Not tomorrow, not next month, now. If you're ready to stop running from the truth, if you're ready to build a life you won't regret at 50, say it out loud or write it down. Courage over comfort. You know that feeling you get sometimes, the quiet heaviness in your chest, the tension behind your eyes, the strange guilt that you can't fully explain. It's the weight of a truth you've been avoiding, not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, but because facing the truth means facing yourself. And that's the one confrontation most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You feel it when you lie awake at night. You feel it when the distractions fade. You feel it when you're alone in your car with no music playing. You feel it in the moments between responsibilities, the moments when your mind finally whispers the thing you don't want to hear. And here's the painful part. You already know the truth. You've always known. You just haven't admitted it yet. Because admitting it would change everything. Maybe it's the truth about your relationships, that you're staying in something that feels comfortable, not something that feels alive. On the outside, it looks stable, predictable, safe. But you know the connection has been fading for years. You know you've been pretending. You know you've been avoiding the kind of honesty that would either heal everything or break everything. Maybe it's the truth about your habits, the late-night scrolling, the emotional eating, the avoidance, the way you numb yourself instead of feeling what's underneath. You tell yourself it's just stress. You tell yourself you'll fix it later. You tell yourself it's not that serious. But your body knows, your mind knows, your future definitely knows. Or maybe the truth you're avoiding is about your potential, about the dreams you abandoned, the passions you buried, the talents you stopped using because someone, somewhere, made you believe you weren't enough. You call it being practical, being realistic, being responsible. But deep down, you know it's fear. Fear wearing a reasonable mask. And that fear has shaped more of your life than you want to admit. Here's what nobody tells you. Avoiding the truth is not a form of protection. It's a form of self-destruction, just in slow motion. It shows up as anxiety you can't explain. It shows up as exhaustion you can't recover from. It shows up as irritability, numbness, disconnection. Your mind keeps pretending, but your body refuses to play along. Because lies, even the ones we tell ourselves, are heavy. Truth is heavy too. But truth frees you. Avoidance traps you. And the longer you avoid the truth, the more your life starts to feel like a cage you built, a cage you locked, a cage you convince yourself is normal. So let me ask you with complete honesty, what truth have you been refusing to see? Not the truth you're ready to face, not the truth other people want you to accept, the truth that scares you. The truth that whispers, not shouts. The truth that sits quietly behind every moment of discomfort. Is it the truth about who you're becoming? The truth about what you've outgrown? The truth about what you actually want? The truth about what needs to end or what needs to begin? You don't have to fix anything right now. You don't need to make a decision today. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to stop pretending you don't see it. Truth is the first step. Truth is the doorway. Truth is the moment your life finally begins to shift, not because the world changes, but because you do. And once you face it, you'll wonder why you spent so long running. There's a truth most people never admit out loud, but it shapes every step they take. They aren't living in the present, not really. Some people are trapped in the past, replaying the same heartbreak, the same humiliation, the same failure, the same moment that convinced them they weren't enough. Others are stuck in a future that doesn't exist, imagining scenarios, worrying about outcomes, trying to plan life into perfection. But almost no one is actually here, in this moment, fully awake. And that's where your life has been quietly slipping away. Every choice you make, every risk you avoid, every opportunity you push away, every dream you talk yourself out of is controlled by one of two forces, your wounds or your fears. That's it. Your past or your imagined future, and neither of them deserve the amount of power you've been giving them. Think about your life right now. Think about the decisions you've made this year. How many were truly based on desire, on purpose, on possibility, and how many were shaped by something that happened years ago, something that still lives in your mind, even though the moment itself is long gone? Maybe you're avoiding relationships because someone shattered your trust. Maybe you're playing small in your career because one failure crippled your confidence. Maybe you're cautious with people because you once opened up and it backfired. Maybe you're afraid of trying again because you're still carrying the weight of a past version of you who didn't know what you know now. You've built walls that aren't protecting you, they're imprisoning you. The past is over. It's not reaching out from behind, trying to hold you back. You're the one gripping it. You're the one replaying it. You're the one letting it define you. And on the other side of the spectrum is fear, the future you can't control. Fear whispers in your ear like it cares about you. Wait, not yet. Be safe. Think it through. You're not ready. Fear makes you believe you're being smart. That hesitation is wisdom. That waiting is strategy. That caution is maturity. But let's be honest, most of your fear isn't about danger. It's about discomfort. It's about not wanting to look stupid, not wanting to be judged, not wanting to fail, not wanting to step outside the story people already believe about you. Fear convinces you that now isn't the right time. But fear is lying. Because fear says the same thing every year, and every year looks exactly like the one before it. You think you're being patient, but you're actually stuck. Here's the truth no one teaches you. You cannot build a new future with the mindset of your past. You can't make bold decisions when your heart is still carrying old pain. You can't move forward if your identity is frozen in who you used to be. You can't grow if you're scared of outgrowing the people around you. You can't create a new life if you're still living inside yesterday's fear. Your past is not a life sentence. Your future is not a threat. Right now, in this moment, you get to decide. Are you going to let old wounds continue writing your story? Are you going to let fear keep directing your choices? Or are you finally ready to reclaim your present, the only place real change can happen? This is where your transformation begins, not by fixing your past, not by predicting your future, but by refusing to let either of them control you anymore. There is a moment in your life, usually a quiet one, when you start to see the distance between two versions of yourself, who you are becoming and who you meant to become. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens slowly, silently, almost invisibly. One day you wake up and something feels off. Not wrong, just unfamiliar. You look at your habits, your routines, your reactions, your choices, and you realize they don't match the person you once imagined you would be. And that's when it hits you. You're becoming someone by accident, not intentionally, not with awareness, not with purpose, but by default. And defaults are dangerous because they don't require effort, they only require passivity. You don't grow into your potential by accident. You only grow into your patterns. Your days build you. Your habits define you. Your reactions shape you. Your excuses mold you. Your avoidance sculpts you. Every choice you made this week became a brick in the foundation of your life. And most of those bricks were laid without conscious thought. That's why asking the question, "Who am I becoming right now?" isn't just a question, it's a mirror, a harsh one, because it forces you to see that becoming someone doesn't happen someday, it's happening today, this moment, this hour, this week. And maybe the person you're becoming is someone you wouldn't admire if you met them. Maybe you've become more reactive, quicker to anger, quicker to escape, quicker to numb. Maybe you've become more comfortable with mediocrity, more afraid of risk, more attached to the familiar, more distant from your true desires. Maybe you've become someone who survives the days instead of leading them, someone who drifts through routines instead of deciding them, someone who adjusts to life instead of shaping it. Most people don't notice this shift because it happens through tiny choices. choosing comfort over courage, choosing routine over growth, choosing distraction over creation, choosing silence over truth, choosing fear over possibility. Individually, each choice seems harmless, but collectively, they build a person you never intended to be. Life doesn't transform you in a single decisive moment. It transforms you in 100 tiny moments you barely pay attention to, and that's the danger. Because one day you look in the mirror and feel a disconnect, not with your appearance, but with your identity. You wonder, when did I stop dreaming? When did I stop trying? When did I stop caring? When did I become this version of me? It didn't happen one day. It happened every day. But here's the good news. Becoming someone else also starts today, not next year, not after you heal, not after things calm down, not when you feel ready. Today, the very next decision you make could shift your entire trajectory. The next habit you break, the next truth you admit, the next boundary you set, the next risk you take, the next lie you stop telling yourself. You have more power than you realize, not power over the past, but power over who you are becoming in the next 24 hours. And if you don't like the direction you're heading, you can choose a different one. Not dramatically, not instantly, but intentionally. You don't need to rebuild your entire life. You just need to start becoming the kind of person who would. You get to reclaim authorship. You get to rewrite your identity. You get to realign with the version of you that still lives inside your chest, the one you thought you lost but is still waiting. So ask yourself again, honestly, who am I becoming right now? And is that who I want to be? Because the answer to that question will shape everything that follows. There's a moment in every person's life when they finally pause long enough to confront the question they've been avoiding. Not because it's complicated, but because it's too honest. And that question is this: am I truly living, or am I just going through the motions? It sounds simple, but if you sit with it, really sit with it, it hits you harder than anything else. Because deep down, you already know the answer. Most people aren't living, they're surviving, they're coasting. They're waking up each morning and sleepwalking through their days like ghosts who forgot they're still alive. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you distract yourself, you go to bed. You repeat. You're breathing, but you're not alive. And the scariest part? It feels normal. You tell yourself this is what adulthood looks like. You tell yourself everyone feels this way. You tell yourself that one day, when you have more time, more money, more energy, you'll finally start living. But that day keeps drifting further away. Life becomes a loop, a cycle, a routine. And routines are comfortable, but they're deadly in slow motion. Human beings weren't built to exist in loops. We were built to grow, to create, to feel, to chase, to explore, to express, to love deeply, and to live intentionally. But somewhere along the way, you traded all of that for predictability, for safety, for convenience, for autopilot. You stopped doing things that make your heart race. You stopped having conversations that stir your soul. You stopped saying yes to things that scare you in a good way. You stopped learning just for the joy of discovering something new. You stopped dreaming loudly because life got real. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Life getting real is not an excuse to stop living. It's the reason you must start. When was the last time you felt fully alive? Not just entertained, not just busy, not just productive, alive. When was the last time you did something that made you feel proud? Something that challenged you? Something that made you feel like you were becoming someone, not just maintaining someone? Most people don't realize this until they're older. Existing is the default. Living is a choice, and that choice is made in small, uncomfortable, deliberate decisions. When you choose to take the risk instead of staying safe. When you choose to speak the truth instead of biting your tongue. When you choose to try something new instead of saying, maybe later. When you choose to show up for your life instead of drifting through it. Living is not an accident. It is not automatic. It is not guaranteed. You have to claim it. You have to fight for it. You have to consciously decide to stop being numb and start being present. Life will not hand you passion. Life will not hand you excitement. Life will not hand you purpose. You create those things through courage, through curiosity, through action. So ask yourself, with brutal honesty, am I living, or am I just repeating days I will never get back? And if your answer scares you, good. That means you're waking up. Because the moment you see the difference between living and existing, you can never unsee it again. And that's the exact moment your real life finally begins. There are things in your life right now, small things, quiet things, things you've convinced yourself are no big deal, that are draining you more than you realize. They don't explode. They don't demand attention. They don't create dramatic scenes. They chip away at you, silently, daily, slowly. And the worst part? You've gotten used to it. This is how people lose themselves, not through a single big mistake, but through 1,000 tiny tolerations they never questioned. Look at your life with brutal honesty. What have you been putting up with that feels heavy every time you think about it? What are the little irritations, the constant stresses, the repeating problems you've chosen to ignore because it's easier that way? Maybe it's the physical clutter in your home that leaves your mind feeling crowded before the day even begins. Maybe it's the friendships that drain you, people who only call when they need something, who never show up when you do. Maybe it's the unhealthy habits you keep telling yourself you'll break next week. Maybe it's the job that has been dimming your confidence, your creativity, your spirit for months or years. Maybe it's the boundaries you never set because you were afraid of disappointing someone. Maybe it's the tiny ways you disrespect yourself every day, neglecting your sleep, your health, your dreams. You tell yourself these things aren't serious. You minimize them. You excuse them. You adapt to them. But everything you tolerate teaches your subconscious what you believe you deserve. Every time you allow someone to speak to you in a way that hurts, every time you swallow your needs to keep the peace, every time you say yes when your soul is begging you to say no, every time you stay silent when your honesty could free, you reinforce a message. My comfort doesn't matter. My peace isn't important. My life can wait. And it can't. Because tolerations don't just drain your energy, they shape your identity. They create a version of you that survives instead of thrives, endures instead of grows, tolerates instead of transforms. You wake up tired not because you're doing too much, but because you're tolerating too much. You feel stuck not because nothing is changing, but because you're allowing everything to stay the same. You feel heavy not because life has crushed you, but because you're carrying things you were never meant to carry this long. Here's a truth most people avoid. Your life will not change until your tolerations change. People think growth is about adding more habits, more goals, more discipline. Often, the real growth begins with subtracting. Less noise, less chaos, less tolerance for things that drain you, less pretending, less emotional clutter, less self-betrayal. Ask yourself right now, what have I been tolerating that is slowly killing my passion, my peace, my ambition, or my joy? Say it out loud, write it down, see it for what it is. Then ask the harder question, why have I allowed this to stay? What story have I been telling myself that makes me believe I have to live this way? Because you don't. You don't owe the world endless patience at the cost of your own well-being. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that suffers quietly to keep everything looking fine. You don't owe your past self the obligation to keep living inside choices that no longer fit who you are. Your energy is sacred, your peace is priceless, your boundaries are not negotiable. This is the moment you decide. No more tolerating what drains me, no more accepting what breaks me, no more shrinking for the sake of others. The life you want begins the moment you stop allowing what you know you don't deserve. There's a question you've avoided your entire life. Not because you're weak, not because you're scared of effort, not because you can't handle the truth, but because this question forces you to confront the one thing you've been trying to outrun since you were a child: your real self. You ask yourself every morning, what do I have to do today? What needs to be finished? What's next on my list? But you never ask the question that actually shapes your future. Who am I when no one is watching? This is not about reputation, not about the roles you play, worker, parent, friend, partner, not about your responsibilities, your achievements, your failures, or your goals. This question asks one thing: when everything external is stripped away, what kind of person remains? Most people never answer honestly. They don't want to, because if you look too deeply, you'll see the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, the jealousy you hide behind politeness, the anger you cover with fake calmness, the insecurities you mask with confidence, the dreams you pretend you don't care about, the pain you've carried for years but call life, the person you wanted to become but slowly drifted away from. The world teaches us to build an image, not a character, to look strong instead of becoming strong, to seem confident instead of healing what broke us, to appear successful instead of becoming fulfilled. But at 50, 60, 70, that image won't matter anymore. Only your character will. And that character is being shaped right now, not someday, not after you fix your life, not after you're less busy, not when you have more time, money, energy, or clarity. Right now. Every choice you make is shaping the unseen version of you. When you tell the truth, even though lying would be easier, your character strengthens. When you say no to something draining, your character sharpens. When you show kindness with nothing to gain, your character expands. When you walk away from something unhealthy, your character rises. When you do what scares you, your character becomes braver. This question is uncomfortable because it exposes a truth you've been ignoring. You are becoming someone every single day, whether you intend to or not. If you choose comfort, you become someone who avoids challenges. If you choose numbness, you become someone who stops feeling. If you choose distraction, you become someone who never grows. If you choose fear, you become someone who regrets. But if you choose honesty, even when it hurts, you become someone you respect. You can't control the past. You can't rewrite your mistakes. You can't go back and become the person you wish you were, but you can decide who you're becoming next. And it starts with this one question answered honestly, bravely, without excuses. Who am I when no one is watching, and who do I want that person to be? Because the truth is simple. The life you dream of depends on the version of you who shows up in silence, when there's no one to impress, no one to applaud, no one to validate you. Only you. And if you can look at that person with pride, your future will take care of itself. There comes a moment, usually quiet, usually unexpected, when something inside you shifts, not dramatically, not all at once, but subtly, like the soft click of a lock that's been stuck for years, and suddenly you see it. you've been living your life on autopilot, reacting instead of deciding, enduring instead of creating, waiting instead of choosing. Maybe it was a conversation that woke you. Maybe it was a disappointment. Maybe it was a birthday. Maybe it was nothing at all, just a quiet evening where you finally ran out of distractions. But something in you whispers, I can't keep living like this. This moment is the beginning of change, not the glamorous kind, but the honest kind. The kind that forces you to sit with yourself and ask the questions you've avoided for years. The kind that turns regret into fuel instead of fear. And this is where everything shifts. Because when you stop living by accident, you begin to understand something powerful. Purpose isn't something you find. Purpose is something you choose. Look back at the last decade of your life. It didn't happen through intention, it happened through momentum. You followed expectations. You followed fear. You followed routine. You followed the path of least resistance. Not because you're weak, but because nobody ever taught you how to live deliberately. And now, here you are, older, wiser, bruised in places nobody sees, ready to finally take ownership of your own existence. That's the turning point. Choosing to live on purpose doesn't mean you suddenly have a perfect vision or a flawless plan. It means you stop drifting. It means you start asking, what matters to me? What do I want my days to actually feel like? What kind of person do I want to become? What do I want the next chapter of my life to say about me? When you live with intention, you start noticing the small decisions that shape your destiny. Whether you pick up your phone in the morning or pick up your discipline. Whether you say yes out of guilt or no out of self-respect. Whether you spend your time escaping your life or building it. Whether you follow fear or follow truth. Living on purpose isn't dramatic. It's not a huge transformation all at once. It's choosing honesty over comfort. It's choosing courage over habit. It's choosing growth over convenience. It's choosing to stop wasting your one life pretending you're not made for more. And something incredible happens when you make these choices consistently. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop asking everyone else what you should do. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop waiting for permission. You stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. Your life stops feeling like something that happens to you and starts feeling like something you're actively creating. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a big breakthrough. You don't need to know your full purpose. All you need is this: to choose your life today instead of postponing it for someday, because someday is a thief. It steals your years quietly, politely, without you noticing, until there's barely anything left to steal. But today is real. Today is yours. Today is the only day you can actually change anything. So let this be the moment. Let this be the line in the sand. Let this be the day you stop drifting and start living on purpose. Comment, I choose my life, to mark the beginning of the chapter you finally write yourself.